let's count this down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and welcome back to the Klickback podcast.
Oh, no jingle? Are you going to do it?
I'm a little bit sick, so
Why are you sick, Jeremy? Why are you sick?
the throat's not up to par today, so I don't think I'm going to do any justice to what I'm actually truly capable of.
Wow.
I don't want a false presentation
you don't
of my
have to
true
talk as
vocal
much.
abilities.
You don't have to talk as much today because we have someone else to bring the voice into the podcast.
A very special guest today.
We have a very special guest, one of your friends, right, Jeremy?
Yes.
Yeah, introduce me. Well, everyone who listens as well.
So the one and only Toby Trin.
Wait, whoa. I'm not gonna talk.
And the lovely lady over there that's laughing is Zara.
Hey guys, what's up?
Wait, what's your last name, Zara?
Lim, L-I-M.
Zara Lim.
That's right.
Otherwise known as Zara Wonders on Instagram.
Sure.
Give it a follow. Ooh.
Ooh.
Are you still active on that?
Not really. I kind of have other accounts that I'm kind of building up at the moment.
Kind of more low key.
Well, I kind of like have a foodie Instagram and like others for work, and I kind of have left my Zara Wonders one dormant.
Multi-directional.
Yeah.
Okay. All
A
right.
lot of room to go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
For those that don't know you, Zara, how
Give
how
us
would you describe yourself?
Like a little intro.
Yeah.
Make it fancy.
I guess I'm a Melbourne born and bred gal who's really into creative stuff, whether it's photography.
Cage free, free range. Melbourne born.
That's it. I currently work in digital marketing. I freelance a bit in content creation. And in my spare time, I try to be creative if I have any spare time, that is. Yeah.
And what's one fact that not a lot of people would know about you?
Not a lot of people know about me. I'm not sure. Apart from, I used to live in Malaysia when I was young for 7 years.
So you're an immigrant.
I mean, I was born here though.
Oh, you're born in.
so
Okay.
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a very like Asian upbringing.
True blue
Wait,
Aussie.
so what nationality are you?
So I'm Chinese Malaysian, so my parents are Chinese, but we were living in Malaysia.
Oh,
like they're
cool.
from Malaysia.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Whereabouts? Which west or east?
West.
West.
KL.
Yeah. And would you say you're you said you're more of a creative person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you describe like your creative like process and what you do?
Usually we'll start off with some sort of inspiration,
Hmm.
as most people do.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind of like inject my sort of spin on things. And then see what I create. I don't really stick to any one format. I'm really into like mixed media. So combining, drawing with photography, with moving imagery.
And your passion lies in like sort of fashion and marketing, right? Is that I feel like, is that right?
I guess like my background has a bit of fashion in it, just because I studied it in uni. My strength probably graphic, but like my like major passion would probably be illustration.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I see. I see. A lot of your photos, you combined illustrations with the photography. Like, what goes in your mind? Like, just say like a landscape or something along those lines, and then you put an illustration over it. Like, what kind of process do you go through to get the end result that you come up with?
I guess just trying to like come up with something unique. Like when you take a photo, I'm not like the most amazing photographer, so I can't kind of like beat out all those other photographers out there, but I know like I can do a little bit of illustration, so that's kind of like my unique spin on things.
That's cool. I like that.
And I don't know, I'm just attracted to like imagery that has mixed media just because it's like so different.
Yeah.
And it just like takes a lot more creativity to like merge materials together.
100%, yeah.
So like that really kind of pushes me.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so hard that I can't come up with that many, and I like rarely post because it is so difficult for me.
No, I definitely like that. Like I've seen a lot of like photographers that like draw over their photos and like add like unique lines to it, or like they seem really flow with the photo.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because it sort of has like a rustic, like it's like, you've seen blueprints where like they draw over like blueprints and stuff like that, and then like so like with illustrations of photos, it kind of looks like you're conceptualizing a photo. Like you're showing your idea and then like making a reality with the photo. So it's kind of like cool like that.
It's this interesting, this extra depth to the image that, you know, you wouldn't normally see in just a regular plain photo without these illustrations. And I think it's a very interesting way of approaching photography, because it's like, it makes photography more than just, you know, going out, shooting, capturing light and then go editing it. It extends beyond that. Yeah.
Add a bit of life to it.
And I feel like you can, I guess you have that, you can call it more of your own in the resultant product.
Yeah.
So I think like that's a very interesting thing, and something I personally would like to do as well. Like I invested in like a Wacom board and stuff like that. So and just
really?
Yeah. Because I just like I've
feeling of just
I've never been a very skilled illustrator.
I've seen.
What do you mean?
Let's see.
Yeti. Your Yeti.
My Yeti.
Yeah, your Yeti.
That was pretty good for like a 1 hour job.
1 hour.
Or 2 hour or 3 hour job.
Did a few hours.
4 hour. No, the Yeti was pretty.
I'm not saying it's bad.
My teacher
I'm
said
not saying it's
good.
bad. I'm just saying it's unique.
Wait, I'm gonna say I'm gonna let Zara. Wait, I'm gonna say.
Okay, yeah, you find your Yeti.
I'm gonna find this fucking Yeti.
Yeah, I know. I definitely. That's cool. No, that's cool. But yeah, going on the topic of like just like drawing on photographs, I think, like, because you know how like saying like photographers capture what they see, or like when they post a photo, you see what they've seen, and I think like drawing on a photograph is like, it's also the same concept where like for like an illustrator, they're just seeing the world, but they're also seeing all these ideas drawing like coming to life.
Yeah, it's almost like the photo is your canvas.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like inputting your imagination on top of it, which is like very difficult.
It's really cool. I like that. Yeah. But I definitely respect that. But
well, having said that, is there any kind of particular illustrators that you are inspired by that you kind of, you know, you can kind of see it in your own drawings, or is that you kind of just
I kind of like a bit of everything. I like your, you know, kind of people who kind of just like doodle away.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Fairy Little Peach is probably one of my favorite illustrators.
I was about to tell you about her. I met her about a few months ago. And we hung out. Yeah, we hung out for a bit.
In Sydney?
No, she was in Melbourne for a bit. And we hung out. Yeah. And then she's from Sydney. Yeah.
Fairy Little Peaches.
So I love like her kind of cute style of illustration. Even though she didn't like really start.
Do you have a book?
No, I actually like haven't gone to a bookstore to like see a book, but I would love.
Yeah, when she was in Melbourne, she was doing like some signings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
really good.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like one style, and then I've always kind of loved like digital art, you know, really big like concept landscapes. I think they're like amazing.
100%.
Like I'm in awe of anyone who can do that. But it's like very different to kind of like the Fairy Little Peach style.
Yeah.
And then just like kind of growing up with like anime and manga and stuff like that, also having that kind of influence.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite anime?
Whoa. Do you still watch anime?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It kind of like takes up too much time. Like Death Note probably.
Death Note.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that for ages.
No, it's a good watch.
Yeah, it is a good watch.
It's a good like mind watch.
But
yeah, I kind of like stories like that.
Yeah.
It's not like a fucking like 700 episode kind of thing, you know.
But it's also not like action heavy where it's like stylized. It's more like strategic.
It's
kind of play.
Intellectual. It's like you think about something.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a show for intellectuals.
I couldn't find my Yeti, by the way.
That's okay. Next time.
Trust me, it's pretty J.
I trust you.
Trust me, it's great. But something that really interested me about, I guess, your right now dormant feed is your architecture, like what you've captured. And it's mainly yourself in the buildings, right?
Right.
Who takes the photos, or did you put it on a tripod?
Like usually I'll have someone with me, and then like we'll compose, and then like I'll run over there, and then they'll take the shot.
Is it a friend or is it?
At that time I was traveling with my boyfriend.
Okay.
Sometimes like if I'm traveling with my parents, I'll be like, "Hey mom, stand here, like don't move, like take the photo when I say."
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, crazy.
But
Wait,
sometimes that's like really hard because you're like really far away and
Yeah.
you're like pseudo shouting.
And sometimes they don't know how to take a photo.
Yeah, so you like got to compose it and everything,
Yeah.
and you like don't move from
Yeah.
the spot. And
But,
all
like,
they do is press the button.
the results and images look great. So it's like
cheers, thanks.
you've done a good job of directing.
Oh,
I guess.
thank you. Yeah, architecture is like probably one of my first passion in like design and
Yeah.
everything. I love spaces and
Yeah.
the way things are built.
Which
cool.
which country or city in particular do you find architecture to be the most interesting?
Oh,
That's a loaded question.
that's a hot one.
I'm not sure because I haven't actually been like traveling specifically for architecture apart from like when I went to Shanghai. I did go and see like quite a few buildings specifically.
Yeah.
But I think like Japan would be one, Shanghai would be one, or your kind of like up and coming cities.
Yeah.
Some cities in Europe would have really good architecture. Like I really want to go to Copenhagen. Haven't been there yet, but they'll have really good architecture. But yeah, far away to just like wander around and see buildings.
What's do you prefer like the old historical buildings or like the more modern futuristic looking buildings? Which one catches your eye more?
More so the futuristic ones.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you guys know any architects like Zaha Hadid. Her buildings are like freaking spaceships, like out of this world, and the form she creates in like a building that you can kind of like walk around and explore. It's just so futuristic. Yeah.
Where can you find her building, like her works?
She has quite a few in China.
Hong Kong.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
A few, yeah.
Well, whereabouts in Hong Kong?
Wait, I don't know.
I think it's one of the universities, maybe.
Yeah.
It just looks cool.
Yeah.
Is it just one of those buildings where you just walk in and you just look up and it's like this grandiose kind of architecture, like it's bigger than life kind of thing, or like is
no, so I guess like normally when you go into a building, it's very consistent. It'll be like your
Square.
stairs and like
Straight.
it will just be straight.
yeah.
But when you go into like an architecturally designed building, it'll be like very different. Your stairs will be going into like different directions, and like your windows won't be the same.
Yeah.
Everything's like
just cool.
shapes are like rounded more so than like straight all the time.
You don't feel like you're on Earth, really.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about Hong Kong architecture is that a lot of it's built around feng shui. So I don't know if you guys.
I don't know
realize.
if she took any of that into
I
account.
don't think. I don't. Yeah. I don't know because I was
not
just.
sure.
I was just watching like because a lot of the buildings is really interesting to me because a lot of the Hong Kong skyline you see buildings that have holes in it.
Yeah.
Like this really tall building, just a hole. I'm sure there's more to the architecture than just feng shui. Like I'll give it more credit to that. But it is a known thing that feng shui masters do attend these, I guess,
Designing.
the designing process. I'm like, you got to have these lines in these positions and whatnot. I won't dwell on that too much, but those holes are more for the dragon passing into the buildings.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like
Does that give you a little bit of inspiration? So like imagine you take a photo in Hong Kong and like you draw a dragon.
I have thought about drawing dragons before, but
cool.
I mean, dragons are hard to draw.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
like,
scales
oh.
and
Which
a lot
one?
a lot of little details.
I mean, like go to Japan and draw like Godzilla on a building.
Yeah, no, I've definitely
Wait,
thought about that.
Would you rather draw a European dragon or a Asian dragon?
Asian dragon.
Asian dragon.
No.
Yeah.
Asian dragons don't have wings, yeah?
No.
Yeah, they don't have wings.
But yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Oh, speaking of, I'm really excited for the Godzilla movie.
Is there another one?
Yeah.
Same, made by the same person.
Same story. It's just a sequel.
Oh, that was a really good movie.
King of Monsters.
King of Monsters.
So basically, like all the monsters are now arising, and like Godzilla's the only one that can save the Earth.
Oh.
So like, 3-headed dragon, Mothra.
Are you? Yeah. Do you love do you guys love the monster movies? Like,
So because I'm like introvert, I like to study leviathans. So like that's just like large monsters and like mythical. It's just really cool to look at, you know.
For some reason, when I think of a leviathan, I think of this huge whale
Yeah,
with sharp teeth.
That can be considered a leviathan. Yeah.
So a leviathan is a generalized term for these group of
large monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the Loch Ness monster is a leviathan.
Yeah.
what the big squid, the large great squid.
Yep.
Would a sperm whale be a leviathan?
That's just a mammal, dude. That still exists.
But it's a pretty big, scary monster.
Not a monster.
Because they found a sperm whale with the giant squid marks on, like the sucking things.
Yeah.
Onto its thing.
Yeah.
So they were battling it out, obviously.
Interesting.
But I would
Yeah,
consider
you can consider
a sperm whale will fuck me up anytime.
Yeah,
I
okay,
reckon.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, obviously.
No, all right. We went on a mad tangent over there.
I mean,
Wait,
yeah.
do you like monster movies? Like
Yeah, I
Godzilla
do.
and stuff?
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
okay.
That's cool.
Or Pacific Rim?
Yep.
Do you like
Yeah.
that kind? Yeah.
That was cool. I haven't seen the
Shit, fucking storyline.
I haven't seen the
Shit
second
fucking
one.
Storyline. Sorry.
I haven't seen the second one, but I heard it's bad.
Yeah, like even though it's a bastardization of fucking just narrative and storytelling, it's a great movie just to watch,
Yeah,
just
the
to
action's
feel
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Australian accent in Pacific Rim is just atrocious, so bad.
It's pretty funny.
But
yeah.
let's go back onto
Anyway, yeah. What would you like? What would you say like inspires you? Like, it doesn't have to be people specifically, but like in life, it can be people as well. But like, what inspires you to do what you do?
I would say mainly kind of like other people and other people's work inspire me.
Yeah.
That could be as far as kind of like going into building into something else someone
Yeah.
creates, and that space is like so amazing that it makes you want to create something
Yeah.
like with it or like something else.
Yeah.
And then the second thing would probably be traveling, just experiencing new things.
Yeah.
Then you always have new ideas.
Yeah. Experience is
Yeah.
definitely a big one.
Yeah.
That's good.
So traveling would be a big thing for you when you need, like, if you feel like
You're drowning.
you're drowning a little bit,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, okay.
I need a bit of a refresh because like you
Okay.
see new things and
Yeah.
you're kind of experiencing other
Yeah.
things. You're put in new situations and
Yeah.
experiencing other cultures.
definitely.
Wait, can you kind of list certain countries that kind of influenced your work in a certain way? Like, let's just say Japan made you do this, or like going to Italy or something made you do that
In a creative sense.
in a creative sense, yeah. Or just inspired you
Your
in
style.
life, just how
Yeah.
you approach things, I guess.
Interesting. China, definitely, like the varied landscape in the whole of China.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you just go to China, but you can experience like something from very, very rural up to something super high tech, as Hong Kong and Singapore, like
Yeah.
all the buildings super futuristic. But even in, let's say, like Shanghai, you can see that there are like slums and there's like the really well off section of town. So that kind of segregation is really interesting, that you kind of get so many influences just from one city.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think watching like anime, I'm really into movies like Spirited Away because it's so visual.
Yeah.
It's so like almost seemingly random.
Studio Ghibli.
That Studio Ghibli. That kind of influences my work because it's a bit of like imagination,
Yeah.
a little bit of like drawing, illustration,
Yeah.
and like obviously very beautiful
Yeah.
landscapes at the back. So yeah.
Favorite movie?
Yeah.
From studio,
Yeah.
Just anywhere.
probably Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
I've yet to see that one.
You gotta watch it.
Wait, so which Studio Ghibli movies have you seen so far?
My Neighbor Totoro.
Yep.
House Moving Castle.
Okay.
Spirited Away. Princess Mononoke.
Yep.
Laputa, Castle in the Sky.
Okay.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah, okay, I like Kiki's. Yeah, Kiki's fun.
Oh, I might have watched one more, but I can't remember.
Ponyo.
I haven't watched
Ponyo.
Ponyo yet. Yeah. I've had like mixed reviews about Ponyo.
It's so visual as well.
You should try out
Grave of Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies.
Fireflies.
That's a crazy.
It's gonna tee you up, basically.
Yeah, it
Oh,
will
really?
tear your heartstrings.
Yeah.
Ooh.
In
It's a nice.
a frustrating way too.
It's very like eye-opening kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like it's an old film, but like it's
Yeah.
still relevant now.
It's very timeless.
Yeah.
The drawings, and
Grave of Fireflies.
Brave of
you'll definitely get attached to the characters, and then you go through their journey. It's related to World War II, and
Okay.
like just the war in Japan and stuff like that.
People affected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a brother and a sister,
Mm.
and you
Just
see
trying to
that.
make it.
Sorry,
Just trying to make it.
just trying to make
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, but that's
definitely watch it.
Yeah, no,
And
it's on the list.
I guess it yeah. Yeah, when I think about it, I was like, shit.
no, because you
Heavy.
watched it recently.
I watched it as a part of uni.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
I did Asian cinema studies, and
Yeah.
that was probably one of my most favorite subjects. But just watching that one, just kind of, yeah, it was frustratingly sad. So
Right.
yeah, I like sad movies because it's like you don't experience sadness all the time. So
Yeah.
like
Me
being-
too. I like sad movies.
Yeah,
I love movies that like make me able to like bawl my eyes out.
yeah.
Because like
Like,
that's
it
true.
gives you a reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
It gives you a reason.
it was able to move me so much
Yeah,
to
that's
like
good.
bring out tears.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about how the Japanese approach sadness is it's more about a state of mind rather than clinically depressed. Like how Western society sees sadness. Like there's a huge contrast between Hollywood cinema and I guess more specifically Japanese cinema in their approach to, I guess, emotion. So Hollywood is a lot more like I'm all about the hero and like happiness and like having a happy ending and all that stuff, whereas Japan likes to explore more of these, I guess, quote unquote depressing ideas. And it's a very interesting way how it's brought about and how it's interpreted in yeah, my mum's going to the toilet in Japanese society. So it's like that's the reason why I like watching Asian cinema, because it's just a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
It's very multi-dimensional, and I don't know. It's just something you wouldn't really get in traditional Western cinema. So not that there isn't at all in that area, but yeah, it's just something that the Japanese have provided for a very long time.
You're really good at it.
Yeah, they're very, very good at like talking about sadness.
Yeah.
They're very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to take a quick break. We'll get back onto topic and yeah, what do you say? We'll be back. We'll be back. I'm lost for words.
Nice.
Five, four, three, two, one. All right, we're back from the break, guys. Bear in mind, I am a little bit sick, so I'm a bit delirious.
So
But that's
delirious.
okay.
But this tea's good. This tea's helping.
That's
This tea's-
Pandan tea.
Yeah, it's good.
Fresh
Legit.
It's good.
from the trees of Vietnam. Actually, pandan doesn't grow on trees, right?
Anyway, actually, speaking of like tea and stuff, like because tea is like a big mood. What would you say, like, what kind of mood inspired, like, not obviously like different moods inspire different sort of ideas, but like for you, what kind of environment helps you bring inspiration to you? Like, cause you know how like you don't feel as creative in certain times, but like in a certain environment, you feel really inspired. So what environment inspires you?
I think a very foreign environment inspires
So
me.
something you're not used to.
Yeah, something I'm not used to. I would say I'm generally alone.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of very
Sounds a
alone
bit
with
morbid.
my thoughts. Just because like when you're talking to other
relate to
people,
this,
you're usually your mind's
You're
elsewhere.
not thinking about being creative. You're thinking
Yeah,
about just continuing
exactly.
the conversation. Yeah, cool. I get
But
that.
when you're by yourself, you are introspective.
You have time to
You're-
think.
Yeah,
You
you just take your time. And I've like solo traveled a bit as well, and that was amazing because you just like take your time. You literally have no obligation to anyone, and you let your mind, or you give your mind the time to kind of explore things at your own pace. And I think that's where my creativity really kind of began. That's where I kind of started delving into Instagram, because I was like alone for 4 months in China.
Oh, so you went to China by yourself?
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that?
After uni, so I studied fashion, and I decided that they didn't teach me enough about the business side of fashion. So I went to China and I interned with like a wholesale manufacturer of shoes. And I spent 4 months in China by myself.
How would you describe that experience?
It was very scary at the start. I had been to China twice before on family trips. I got sick both times. I hated China so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's it. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
But then
You took like that step.
yeah,
of
four
faith and
years
just-
later, I was like, oh my God, this is an opportunity like I would
Yeah.
never have again.
Wait, did you? So were you offered to go to China, or were you?
No, so I kind of just knew this guy through personal contacts.
Okay.
Right.
And then he offered to like come. I mean, he offered me to come up and like,
Okay. Right.
yeah, just like shadow him and whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is the wholesale guy.
Yeah, this is the wholesale
That's cool.
guy.
That's cool.
Oh.
And I was like,
Opportunity.
I would never ever have this opportunity
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I hate China, but let's just do it.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, everything was like a little bit scary at the start. Like,
But you settled in. pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
That's good.
I had to like get accommodation and like
Yeah.
get a bank account, and I lost my phone in the first week, and my
Wow.
laptop
Yeah.
screen like died.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And I had to get it
goodness.
replaced, and it was Chinese New Year, so
Yeah.
like everyone had left town
Yeah.
to like go back to their town. So I was like
Yeah.
deserted.
That's crazy.
But other than that, like
Yeah.
it was amazing. People
Yeah.
were actually like
Yeah.
super friendly to me. So
good.
my opinion of China totally changed after that.
Which part of town were you
I was
living?
in Guangzhou, which
Oh.
was south,
Yeah.
near Hong Kong. So
Ah.
every like month or so, I would take a trip to Hong Kong to renew my visa.
Oh.
Yeah.
What
so-
was assimilating into, I guess, Chinese life? What was kind of the day for you? Like you just woke up, went to work.
Yeah, I
would you
woke up, like went to work, and then I would like shadow the guy. So he kind of dealt with Australian and New Zealand customers. So then I would kind of like do a bit of translating,
Yeah.
and then I'd see all the wholesalers and all the suppliers,
Yeah.
and kind of follow the Australian buyers around and
Yeah.
kind of see the whole process. Yeah.
Any interesting stories? Anything funny? Anything out of the ordinary? Anytime you had to face adversity?
Oh man, this was like so long ago.
Yeah.
Not anything particular. It was just like sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, this is so sometimes I'd like go wander around by myself just
Yeah.
to get a feel of the suburbs. And like on one side of the street everything would look nice, and then you go into these like rundown communities and you'll see like the telephone wires like kind of like cross into this big bundle, and then you kind of go maybe 100 meters in and it just kind of gets darker and darker and darker because like the buildings are super close to each other. They're not at like, they don't have like straight streets, they're all at different angles, and it kind of gets like really scary really fast. And then when you turn around you're just kind of like, I don't really know my way back because like they all look really like the streets are all messy, and there's no, I guess, like consideration in how that community was built. So it kind of feels like you're in a movie, like you're just like wandering into this community and then like getting really really lost, and
That's cool. I mean, not
terrifying
cool, but,
in a way because you're like alone and it's getting dark. But
crazy.
yeah, but yeah, that's kind of like.
But that's
wandering around
that's
by
its
itself.
own interesting story to tell. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's, if it wasn't, it's just like, you know, I'm just
Yeah.
walking down the street and
Yeah.
walk back. You know?
Yeah.
But like the
But
fact
then-
that you can just tell the story, it's like that's cool.
Yeah.
And
But
being-
yeah, and then on the flip side, like you'll go to like a suburb down the road and there'll just be this like giant mall with like bright flashing lights
Yeah.
and Starbucks that costs like 9 AUD. You're just like,
Yeah.
wow.
yeah.
So it's like very, very different.
That's cool.
Is there something you kind of like, a habit that you had back home here, kind of had to kind of overcome for the conditions or the environment in China? Something that you had to adjust?
Not really.
So you just your plain old self.
Yeah.
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 How's
Yeah.
your Cantonese?
Oh, I can't even speak Cantonese. I had to speak Mando.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
So,
don't know
like,
Cantonese.
So with that, I mean, so you did that years ago, right?
Yeah, 2013.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
Oh no, sorry, 2015.
and
my
then
bad.
these past years you've been working
Yeah.
just full time, was it?
Yeah, working full time for the past 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like with working full time, like what kind of steps have you taken to sort of be creative? Like, I'm not saying you have to be creative, but like, what kind of steps have you sort of like told yourself to do to just be in a creative space and like go out?
It's definitely slowed down. So like, I guess like China was kind of like the inception of my creative and like Instagram, because I had so much time. I just like had the time to play with everything.
Yeah.
And then when I came back and then after China, I went traveling for a couple months. So that was also like, oh yeah, fun and games, like all the time to be creative.
Yeah.
And then when I got back, I was like, oh, what am I doing? And then I still had the time to kind of like create content, and I was like collaborating with a couple of brands, and like Instagram and influencers kind of started to take off then.
Yeah.
So I was kind of just like riding that wave.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, what am I actually doing? And then I kind of took that skill, and content creation became my skill. So then I kind of got a job in that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I started off in social media marketing because I was good at content creation. And then that kind of transitioned into like wider digital. But as I had more like technical skills, I guess I kind of dropped off on the creative side. And when you start working full time, you have less time to be creative on yourself.
Definitely.
So like it's kind of, I almost feel like it's a trade-off right now to learn the technical skills and sacrifice my time to do that. And like not do my personal creative stuff. In the hopes of the future where like I can just do my creative stuff like
fair enough.
for a bigger portion.
That's perfectly fine.
Totally fine. Yeah. I like we recently talked about like creative health. And like just like is it good to like just go flat out on creativity and like your own independent businesses? It's like it's very taxing if you don't know everything and like you have to learn on the go. So like taking steps at a time, like taking time off creative just to learn how to run a business, and then using that knowledge to like run your own business properly. Like that's good, like it's totally fine. And going about it your own way is that's on you, it's like that's how you learn. That's really good.
Well, investing in yourself should be your first priority, and then anything like that, anything else just comes later down the track as a result of your self investment. But wait, so you did fashion at the start
in uni.
So how did you feel about that in your part of your life? Like, how do you still want to get back into it now? You are doing digital marketing now, but is that something that's kind of been in the back of your mind a little bit these days, or you just kind of that's one part of your life and you're moving on?
It's definitely a part that I kind of like let go for the moment. I feel like I will return to it just because I have always wanted to like own my own brand and produce something that like others would be happy to adorn or wear or use. Whether it's a product or like fashion related, like could be like, I don't know, cups, for example. But I guess fashion is like I have skills in that, so it could be down that line. But I guess like my main strength would actually come into branding. So like branding something. So like it doesn't matter if it's a cup or like a top. It's like the branding of the whole brand and the concept and like why someone would actually wear it. Because nowadays people don't really like buy the object, they buy into the lifestyle. So that's what I'm generally more focused on.
What kind of what kind of clothing would you like to, I guess, brand for?
Doesn't have to be a specific brand, but like a style. Like a style.
I've always liked streetwear.
Like,
I don't know. I wear like really baggy casual stuff, and I like dress like this to work. So I would never cut in the corporate world.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
But I mean, because I have like studied fashion for a bit, I now like appreciate all other
styles.
Fashions, other styles. So
like the influence it has had. Yeah, that's cool.
I feel like I'm good at like kind of injecting myself into any sort of branding environment.
That's cool.
And like rolling with it.
Yeah. So you're very adaptive.
Yeah. And like working in agency, you work with like 50 odd clients. You have to. Otherwise,
100%. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, we are in the age of like fast fashion. Where, we're manufacturing heaps and heaps and heaps of goods. It's like, I guess like with fashion itself, do you feel like there's a hole to be filled, or you just want to kind of just come up with like just do your own thing, and I guess not trying to pioneer fashion in a way, but just be a part of that culture?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I watched a documentary about fast fashion a couple of years ago called The True Cost. I think it's on Netflix, maybe.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And that really kind of changed my whole vision on fast fashion. Like I used to, just like buy the cheapest stuff and like buy shit on sale just cause it was.
Yeah.
And then after watching that, and reading, I don't know if you know the book, The Magic of Tidying by Marie Kondo.
Please give us a little brief rundown.
Give us
It's
a blurb.
basically just a book by this Japanese lady.
Is it similar to the TV show?
I haven't actually watched a TV show, but I probably won't watch a TV show.
Yeah.
Basically, she just tells you to like get rid of anything that you don't love
That
in
doesn't
your
bring joy.
that doesn't bring joy in your environment, like physical items.
Okay. Yeah.
And that environment.
So it's not necessarily like minimalist living, but more just like appreciative living.
Yeah, exactly. And like being conscious of the things you have, like why you have it.
Yeah.
And if it's there, you take care of it.
So essentially, you want to cultivate a positive environment by eliminating. Okay.
So like, after that, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do fast fashion anymore. So I try not to like shop at like H&M and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I do, I don't think it's so much it's bad to shop there. It's more like your mentality. If you're gonna buy this thing, like, are you gonna wear it 100
so shop
times?
with
Yeah.
purpose.
Like, if you're gonna buy something, don't just like, oh, I kind of like this and it's on sale, I'll buy it. And then like 5 wears later, you're like, oh, I don't really like it, I'll chuck it out. Like, I would rather spend that, $300 or whatever, and I'm gonna wear it for like 10 years. Because then you're throwing away less.
You invested in it.
Yeah.
So,
and you love it. Like, you truly love it.
Yeah.
Rather than like half-assing and like buying something.
I think Tommy said like a while ago when I'm pretty sure he watched the Marie Kondo cleaning show on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like, I think she said it's like everything you throw away, before you throw away, you have to like say thank you to it.
Oh yeah.
For like,
just appreciate like what
thank,
it's done.
thank you for
you.
being in my life, and then
you let it go.
Yeah. So she like cleans like houses and everything. It's like, thank you for being in life, and like
Wait, have you done that? Like, just
I mean, I don't like. Oh my god, yes, thank you. But I definitely like called. I probably wouldn't have called it once. I would have done it like multiple times, just because like it's really hard to actually like throw away so much stuff. So I've probably done it at least like 4 times, and I think I'm on like my last one before I'm like fully. Oh my god, I love everything in my possession.
It feels so good. Though.
It feels so good, like just like not having these like random objects that you don't like around. Like it actually takes up mental space.
Yeah.
You know Selena did the Marie Kondo clean.
Oh really?
Yeah, she did. She threw away like 40 pairs of shoes.
Yeah, fuck, that's a lot of pair of shoes.
She just threw away like
40 pair of shoes.
That's a lot of
she
shoes.
just threw away like all these clothes, all these. Like,
but it's that mentality, like, oh, it's on sale. Like, when am I going to get this deal? And you just grab it. It's a lot of that kind of unconscious.
I mean, obviously, it's like when you look in your room and you're cleaning, and then you pick up some random shirt. It's like, did I really buy this? Like,
and then like I've never worn it.
Or like you've worn it only at home.
Yeah, like as my PJs kind of thing. Yeah, it's bad.
Every time I try to throw shit out, it just ends up being on my mum. Like I'm like, why the fuck are you wearing my? I swear I threw that out.
Yeah, my mum always picks my stuff up. Yeah,
because she's in a belief like, oh, like giving it back to like my cousins and stuff in Vietnam.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with like giving it back, but like if you don't use it, then like you should, I guess pass it on.
Yeah,
but I guess on the topic of that, after like I don't want to create something that's fast fashion.
So you're not chasing a trend.
Yeah, I don't want to chase a trend.
Yeah. So you want to create a legacy, not like.
Yeah, like I'm like my ethos is more so like creating really good quality products that are like made ethically.
Oh, okay.
So like not using sweatshop workers, child labor. And yes, it might be more expensive, but like
it tells a story.
Yeah, it tells a story, and you're buying into like something that's like ethical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
I can
Yeah.
imagine it being so hard to kind of find, to be able to,
Get that started.
get started, find the right manufacturer.
Yeah, it is very difficult.
Because honestly,
Yeah.
it's, when it comes to business, there's always a lot of shady shit going
Yeah,
on. And it's
yeah.
hard to find something like a business partner that may be ethical. And it's
Mhm.
how are you in the conscious effort of trying to avoid the fast fashion route? Like, how do you go about doing that? Do you just you go to China, or you go to a manufacturing hub, and you just kind of suss out the people there, and then just kind of get an idea of if this person is going to be okay with you or not?
Yeah, so I guess it's really like trying to get down to the source as close as possible.
Yeah.
So you can start with your manufacturer, but like really it can go down so far. Like, what materials does he use?
Like where
Like,
it comes from.
Yeah, where it comes
Yeah.
from. Like, you know, how are they producing it at the very, very core
Yeah.
level? So it's really like, your ability to go that far. So number one, you start with your manufacturer, and then if possible, you will go down to
Go
the
down
like,
the rabbit hole.
yeah, and you'll just keep going until you know like every part of the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
So it is super difficult though. So like the guy I interned with, hopefully I will actually work with him one day, because I've actually seen his practice, and like he obviously doesn't employ child labor.
Yeah.
And like, you know, so hopefully I'll be able to work with him one day, because he is an ethical supplier.
That's cool.
Have you actually
Yeah.
seen it happen? The fast fashion like manufacturing side of things,
Like
like
sweatshops.
sweatshops.
I
like-
haven't seen sweatshops.
Yeah.
I've seen factories.
Yeah.
But like they've been legit.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Like, I don't think you can just like walk into any factory, because like they're actually not
Be a
usually.
tourist and just take
They're not
photos,
close
like-
to the cities. They're like usually
On the
much further-
outskirts,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
like further in, like maybe a couple hours away from the city. They have
Ah.
like manufacturing zones.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, you know, a suburb just for
Districts.
like factories and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're not like so easy you can walk into. And if you do walk into something, it'll be a showroom, the front.
Yeah.
They don't know.
What they want you to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they want you to see. Yeah.
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 It's
Interesting.
all lie, man.
That's
So
interesting.
it's definitely a process. It will take a lot of years.
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah,
like it's a state of
eventually.
mind as well. Just
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
being able to like see an item and like not get too interested by its looks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Being business minded is hard. Like, just you have to have a good judge of character, and like dealing with shady people, you kind of like you can't like these people can be very charismatic as
Mhm.
well, and sometimes you're just not sure whether this person is legit or not, and it's like do you feel like you have a pretty good sense of like are you pretty confident in your skills when it comes to operating a business?
I think so. I'm pretty like hands-on with everything, so I kind of like want to see everything through.
Yep.
And I want to make sure that like everything checks out, all
Yeah.
the boxes are ticked.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot more effort and it takes a longer time, but it's kind of like peace of mind
Yeah.
that you have like everything under control as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Stressful.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But
So-
worth it in the end if it all goes well, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having said that, is it have you started on this brand? Like, is it currently under works?
It is on the works.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've had a couple of conversations,
Yeah.
me and like the footwear. So it is in footwear, because obviously that's my experience.
Yeah.
Oh, so is it going to be a shoe or is it?
It's gonna be a brand, like a label, then like women's shoes specifically.
Yeah.
Not like sneakers or anything.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
street style,
Yeah, no.
unfortunately.
But it could branch off into it, right?
Probably not under this brand.
okay.
Like
Okay, yeah.
too different.
We're talking about like high heels and like,
yeah, similar. Like probably a women's. Like,
Okay, right,
Oh.
right,
wear
right.
brand
It's like a boutique
specifically.
kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
and yeah, kind of more like more expensive, but like really high quality shoes.
No,
Yeah.
that's what you want.
Hopefully, just starting.
That's fine.
It's just an idea.
kind of like the stilettos, like the red
Red bottoms.
bottoms.
Nah, maybe not so
Mate.
high end.
Oh, okay. Wait, how much?
Still affordable.
Wait, how much do the shoes go for?
700 up. Was
Yeah,
700 up.
like a grand.
Shit. And Jimmy Choos?
They would be like
500
6,
upwards.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like what? Like oh shit,
Yeah.
so expensive.
And then you get
But
into
they're worth it, I guess, because they're quality, right?
I
I'm
don't
assuming.
know.
It's not. It.
I think that's
when
more
it,
so
when it comes
status.
to when
Oh,
it
yeah,
comes
true.
to when it comes to high end, it's more about not even ethically produced. It's more about just the label.
Yeah.
Just owning an item that has a stylist behind it is what they pay for.
It's branding.
Designer
Yeah,
shoes.
Yeah, it is all about the branding and the reputation of a brand.
I guess your point of difference is just affordable, but clean.
But still ethical.
It's still ethical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good quality.
Good quality.
100%.
Was it, when is are we expecting anything anytime soon, or just kind of just?
I'm still playing around with the idea. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna go full forward with it.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
like, manufacturing is a big project.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't just kind of like buy 10. You gotta
Yeah.
buy in bulk because
Yeah.
that's what factories produce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like warehousing, shipping, like
Yeah.
it goes on.
I
and
mean,
on
yeah,
and
for
on.
shoes, it's a big
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
It
process.
takes a lot of space, and
Yeah.
so it's not something that's gonna come
Yeah.
super quick.
Speaking of branding,
Yeah.
like what do you think of our shirts, Jeremy? You want to grab one and show her one of our shirts? We
Oh, yeah.
we created some shirts.
Cute.
Where
Where did you guys get them made?
some place?
Hope it's not child labor. No,
Nah,
I'm
we don't
joking.
even know. But yeah, so we designed these with the idea of where we started. So we were sitting in a KFC and we were eating chicken. We were like, hey, let's do a podcast.
True.
And it's like, yeah, good idea.
Oh, you got these printed AS. Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
so we got chicken wing on the front with Klickback with a KFC font, and then the KFC bucket on the back with us.
Oh, that's cute. I like that. Who did the graphic?
So I did the bucket, and people, and Jeremy did the chicken.
Nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
So that's
I like it. But there's nothing to do with like photography. I thought there would be some sort of.
Oh,
That's not exactly the
Yeah. It doesn't
idea.
necessarily have to.
Fair,
be. Yeah.
because we're not saying we're professionals in photography at all.
Yeah.
That's true.
We're,
But
Yeah.
I guess that's like one thing that ties you guys all together. As
yes,
well,
so that's what brings us together. But we're
Mhm.
not at all
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
telling people how to take photos.
right? Yeah. No. Of course not.
This is like by no means like
Yeah.
the photography podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're sort of
Yeah.
the podcast that just helps our listeners see what other people do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And by this, we're pretty much just like we're gonna go on other brands like IKEA and like other stuff like that. Just like
Just
Nice.
puns.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
No, I
much.
love it. I
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah. So to wrap this up, I just Zara was really like this is the first time I've met you. So
Yeah.
it's like it's really cool to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
What would you really quick on the topic question? If you were to start your own T-shirts, what would your message be?
My message?
Yeah.
I would love to do like something along the punny line
Yeah.
with like really cute graphics,
Yeah.
kind of like Very Little Peach.
Oh yep.
And mashing those two together.
Cool.
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zara.
Thank you, Zara.
Really
Thank you so
appreciate
much
your
for having
time.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is your first podcast, right?
Yeah, no, it was interesting.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Glad
But
to
yeah,
have you here.
with that being said, thank you so much, guys, for listening, watching. If you're on YouTube or Spotify, definitely check us out on our socials on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We're everywhere. We're in your ears. We're in your eyes. Catch you next time.
Thank you very much.
Peace.
Laters.
Bye.
Take care.
All right.